be vertical, but it didn't work quite right. All right, everyone, welcome. We are at the Gogyo. We're actually by Moka City Hall. So I kind of decided to start here for a few interesting reasons. Well, let's start walking and talking. So this is the Gogyo River. It flows through the Haga district of Tochigi. There is Moka City Hall. So let's get past the rapids and then talk about why this particular stretch is interesting / important. So, one of the interesting things about this river is that for a long time there was no salmon run. We're talking about cherry salmon here. And then a few years ago they just kind of suddenly reappeared and they have salmon again. So naturally you can't fish them. While the run is going on, you can't fish at all. Anyways, this part here is actually quite interesting and significant. This is where they hold part of the Matsuri festival. So one of the things they do here is they take the mikoshi, the shrines that are being carried, and they actually bring them into the water. So for the few days leading up to it, they're usually trying to drain the water with the dams. So this river's dammed a lot. So they put dams to lower the water so that there isn't a lot of water and the flow is pretty tame and easy to deal with. So they actually they start over there. So the post office is right there. They start by the post office. They come in here, they get into the water carrying those big shrines, mikoshi, and then they come in through the water and then they exit here. So that's City Hall right there. So during the Matsuri, the summer festival, that is kind of the big major event. So the first day is, the dashi, the mikoshi, they're being paraded around the city. The second day, that's the big day. That's the day they take the mikoshi into the river here, get them wet. And then the third day, the mikoshi, the portable shrines, return to their home shrines. I did a short live a few months ago during the summer of the ending festival for Matsuri here in Moka, where they parade them back. I wasn't actually here when they went into the river. I've been here quite a few times. So you see they take the mikoshi down these steps, and then these are also kind of big steps. They take the portable shrines into the river. They carry them in the river. Yeah, sun's going to be bright for a second. And then they exit kind of by those rapids almost. So that's actually a very, very fun festival in Moka. A chance to see them do that. There's quite a few. There's also one in Oyama. That's the Drinking Snake Festival. I went to it. I filmed. I never made a video out of it. That one, they construct these snakes out of wire, paper, and leaves, and those snakes are brought into the pond next to the shrine, and once again, they get them wet. There's quite a few summer festivals that involve water here in Tochigi, I've noticed. I actually participate in the other cities, so I go to Moka, Mashiko, which is where I work, and I push the dashi, which it isn't a shrine, it's basically like a cart with musicians and people inside playing music. And so that's the dashi. That's what I push. I'm at the back. So that's what I do in the festivals. Kind of fun. Although Mashiko's hilly. So by the end, that last hill during the summer festival, each night, we were just pushing up the hill and just oh my God, I'm exhausted. I've been pushing this dashi all day. And you're just trying to push and push and push. You're like, oh, I gotta get to the top. It's almost over. I don't carry the mikoshi, the shrine, I push to the musicians. I'm not sure which one's easier because I've never carried a Mikoshi. I think it's different. The Mikoshi, because it goes right on your shoulder, I imagine very quickly that shoulder is exhausted and quite sore. So I feel like it's a lot of pain and stress put in one part of your body. Where during the festivals, I push the dashi, which is, I think, a lot more on your feet and your legs. I think because I'm a bigger dude, I think I'm actually a little better at the dashi, especially when we have to stop it. That usually falls on me to act as the brake. But yeah, those are the summer festivals. However, summer festivals are over. It is autumn now. It is about to be, well, it is November. It is November. So, yeah, summer festivals are a ways away. Anyways, we're going to continue down the Gogyo Gawa. We'll have to cross over a bridge at one point because there's a canal. But we're going to kind of stay lower as much as we can. This lower trail's not always in the best shape. But yeah, of course, in chat, if you have any questions, ask away about, well, anything. Living in Japan, what's it like living in a small city, anything like that. We're not going to go for a huge walk today. It's going to be shorter. We're not going to go all the way down to the castle ruins this time. Some of it is, ooh, carp. Quite a few carp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carp. There's a lot of carp in here. This whole family of carp. We got some small things too. This is actually a good river for carp fishing. I see lots of carp fishermen in here. There's some really tiny things there. I wonder what those are. Laurel, maybe? Should have brought my microfishing setup. I almost did that instead of walking. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll get out the fishing rod. I'll do a fishing stream. I haven't done a fishing stream in months. And I just because the problem is like, it takes a lot more stuff. Yeah, that's where I need to go fishing, right there. I can just drop the line right in front of them. There's a few places like that where you can almost stand over the fish. This one's actually pretty, this one, because it's nice and shallow. I don't know. No carp in here today. Lots of little fish. There's a canal that we're about to intersect with, and that's actually really good for fishing because there's quite a few places where you just literally, I've actually done a few fishing videos in this canal where I just would drop the bait almost literally on top of the carp. You're pretty much just sight fishing at that point. I don't think they stocked ayu in this river this year. The water's low. Not that they even stocked many ayu in here. Last year they stocked a few ayu in this river. The Kinagawa and the Dayagawa locally are the big ones for ayu fishing. The Dayagawa being huge for ayu fishing. That's their thing. They attract a lot of people and a lot of tourism to go ayu fishing. Here, we'll take the next set of stairs. So we got to cross over this canal. There is actually a place you can wade across pretty easily. There's stairs even for wading. Should use that quite a bit in the spring when fishing. Let's cross over. Covered in briars. So there's a dam up there, which is actually movable. Like, they just have a... I'm covered in briars. Basically, in the concrete, they have these slits to run a large piece of metal, basically. And so when there's flooding danger, they actually just pull it out, and they let this whole area get much deeper. But in the spring, that is actually a very good place to go fishing. So a lot of the little fish, that's beautiful. A lot of the little fish gather up there. And so then the bigger fish come to try to hunt the little fish. Yeah, we'll get back down to the river level at the first set of stairs. I'm glad I don't have to work today. So, my day job, the school I work at, puts on a huge Halloween that lasts about 2 weeks. So 1 week at one of our schools, the second week at our other school. And there's a lot of putting up, taking down, all of that. And so originally today we were going to have to take down, but pretty much everything got done last night. So the boss was like, yeah, don't come in, take the day off, which made all of us happy. We're like, yay! But it makes me wish, and I was kind of kicking myself earlier about this, is tomorrow we're going to Nasu Shiobara, staying in an onsen hotel. And we booked far enough in advance it was pretty cheap. Not cheap now. And so I'm kind of wishing that I had just gone ahead and been like, we'll book Friday. My wife and kid will go and I'll leave after work. And, if I'm able to and make it, even if I come in late. Because we've done that a few times, particularly in the Nikko Kinagawa area, where I'll just meet up with them later in the day. But we didn't. So we'll go to Shiobara tomorrow. Sit in the hot spring. Go hike along the ravine. It's higher in the mountain, so it should be colder. So it might have that kind of autumn foliage, which we don't have down here. We're too low. It's too warm. Oh wow, this trail is not well maintained. Duck. They're about to get very skittish in a few days once hunting season starts. Also makes them avoid certain parts of the river during hunting season. They kind of learn quickly, I think. I think a lot of junk just covered over this. When we had the river was pretty high for a few days. Minor flooding. Because of the, so a lot of the valleys and the mountains are pretty narrow. And so they can get a lot of runoff from rain and snow melt. So a lot of the rivers in this part of Japan can be kind of volatile as far as how high they are, which, you know, does make pretty fertile ground because the rivers would flood over, drop sediment. But not really good for human settlement because they would flood. So there's be these, you know, accounts in history where, you know, so-and-so river overflows its bank, 20 people die. So-and-so river overflows its bank, 50 people die. In fact, there was one case where the area that's now Utsunomiya, so to the east of us, the Kinagawa got partially dammed up in what's now Nikko, kind of north of Kawaji. I did a video about Kawaji. Nice place. Anyway, so there was an earthquake, and that moved sediment, rocks, stones, and that blocks off the river. And so basically a lake forms. And you know, it affects the river. The river still flows because there's other sources of water. It isn't just that area. But it drops the river quite a bit. And it blocks a road that went through there called the Izu Nikko Kaido, or the Shimotsuke Road. What's now Tochigi is mostly what used to be Shimotseki province back in the old days. Anyways, this lake forms, can't use the road. It affects trade for the Izu, which is western Fukushima. Not very good for them. They're not very happy. They try to basically break the dam that was caused by the earthquake. No success. The engineer in charge of it kills himself in shame. This goes on for about 20, 30 years, I think, where you can't use the Izu Nikko Kaido. The Kinagawa is much smaller because a large section of the water is blocked. And then suddenly it breaks. So this natural dam breaks. The lake that was formed by it, well, all that water has to go somewhere. So the Kinagawa floods and it kills like almost 200 people all in one go. Izu Domain, however, is really happy because now they can use the Izu Nikko Kaido again, which goes from Izu Wakamatsu, which is their capital. What's now Izu Wakamatsu? Actually, I think it was called that then. Down to Machi, which is now part of Nikko. Now, in the past, Amachi was actually very, very important because it was where a bunch of different roads met. So once you got to Amachi, well, you would just take the Nikko Kaido and you get to Edo, which is now Tokyo, which was, you know, the capital of Japan in many ways because that's where the Tokugawa's base was. Now, the imperial government, they didn't have much power, but they were down in Osaka, and so they were also technically a capital. And it kind of had two capitals at that point. It was weird. But the big thing is the Tokugawas had this rule when they were in charge called the alternative attendance policy. And what it was this rule that if you were a daimyo, so a clan leader, you were the head of a samurai clan, you had to spend every other year in Edo, Tokyo. So this was expensive, first off. So it forced them to maintain two residences. Their families actually lived in Edo. So it made their families easy hostages if you turned against the Tokugawas. And it also meant that you were spending a lot of money maintaining two residences and traveling between them. So this was intended to weaken the daimyos so that they were less of a threat to the shogun if they decided to rebel. I mean, the system worked for years and years and years, but that also caused a lot of economic development along these roads, or in the case of the Izo-Nikko Kaido, for a road to even be built, which also then stimulated trade. It brought wealth out to these towns that were along the roads. It's like a wormhole from Stargate, right? The money flows to those points. Oop. Spooked some carp. And made the merchant class more wealthy. You did hear a duck. There's quite a few ducks around here. I wonder if they know it's almost duck season. Actually, what is there, four or five species of huntable ducks here? There's the mallard, moorhen, black duck. I don't know if they exist in North America. And there's like one or two more. But yeah, quite a few ducks. There's also been more cormorants spotted in Tochigi. There's not supposed to be cormorants up here. So they actually, recently I saw a poster. Oh man, so many birds. I recently saw a poster at the fishing shop that I guess they want you to report cormorants if you see them. So I kind of wonder if a lot of duck hunters are going to kill the cormorants this year. Now that we're like, yeah, we don't want them here. They're not supposed to be here. They're eating up the ayu and the game fish. Oh, there's a carp. Not a huge one. We don't seem to get really, really huge carp in here. I don't know why. Let's fish. So, let's see. It's closed to trout. I don't think they have stock trout in here. It's closed to sweet fish, ayu. I'm pretty sure in here. So you're not going to see many fishermen. I mean, you could fish for carp still, I think. It might be near the salmon run. So you cannot fish salmon in this river. Salmon fishing is highly restricted and regulated in Japan in rivers. If you go out into the ocean, yeah, sure, go ahead. It's not very restricted there. But the spawn and fishing the spawn is highly regulated. There's only a few rivers you're allowed to fish for salmon, and it's done off of like a permit system. They're mostly in the north, further north than here. And I think like 3 out of the 5 are in Hokkaido. Makes sense, it's the furthest north island. And, God, I think one's in Iwate. I'm not sure about the others. There used to be a salmon run through most of the rivers here in the Kanto region too. But, oh, there's your duck. Quack, quack. But overfishing and changing of the rivers, a lot of these rivers are pretty dammed up now. And they've been changed so much, particularly with the dams, that I think it makes it so you really don't have an ocean run anymore. It was kind of a surprise when salmon just suddenly kind of reappeared in this river. I'm not sure if reappeared is the right word. There probably were a few that were running, just nobody noticed. And then they either noticed or they just returned. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure if salmon like discover new rivers, that every year a few salmon are like, instead of going up the river that I was born in, let's go up this one instead. Maybe some type of pressure causes them. Duck on the other side there. Maybe some type of pressure causes them to change. Where they're like, oh, people, don't be trashy. Bad weather or something, they can't get back to the river that they were born in, so they try a new river. That might be how populations get established. I mean, Ayu will technically sea run too, but same thing. The dams, the changing of the rivers kind of stops that behavior. So long ago, the way it used to work was the Ayu, sweetfish, they would come up these rivers in the spring and summer, getting further and further inland, lay their eggs. In fact, some of them would stick around. They don't die when they lay eggs, unlike some fish species. So the Ayu would sometimes do this multiple times in their life, 3 or 4 times in their life. When they're adults, they would come upriver, lay eggs, and then as the water gets colder, they would retreat back towards the ocean. Some of them, of course, would just stay in fresh water. But overfishing, dams, all this kind of stopped that. So now, most of the Ayu you see are stocked, just like the trout. They have kind of pulled back on the non-native trout species, stocking them. So for quite a while, their thing was stocking rainbow trout. In Japanese, they're called nijimasu. Well, those are not the native trout species. Native trout species here are iwana or sakuramasu. Technically, they are the same species. They don't look the same though. So for a long time historically, they had different names. Iwane being one name, sakuramasu being another, and it was based on their appearance. Well, modern DNA testing, we now know, it's the same species. They can interbreed just fine. It's just a color variation. A bunch of people are fishing there, so I'm not going to go bother them. There's still quite a few people fishing by the dam. Carp, I bet. Yeah, that's definitely carp set up. Look at the size of those rods. It's interesting because this seems to be the go-to place for a lot of people. Like, you'll always find people down in this park fishing, even if there's no one fishing anywhere else. But I don't know why. Some people use some pretty nice heavy carp setups. In fact, some of those are basically surf rods. The heavy ocean fishing pole I use is, made for ocean fishing. but I kind of suspect, so it's a 4,500 reel. I kind of suspect that it was being used for carp fishing, and that it was like Grandpa's carp fishing setup. I have actually used it, thrown it out for carp before too. All right. This park is about as far as I'm going to go, actually. I'm doing a shorter day today. One of the reasons is I got to pack, so yep, about 30 minutes. Everyone who's watched, thank you for watching. Everyone who watches on the replay, also thank you for watching. If you're watching the replay, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell me what your favorite thing about this walk is, or any questions you have for me. And I will see you in our next adventure.